Hey guys, Mike back here with another stock strategy explained, and today we're going to be talking about how you can invest in real estate with just $1. And before we begin, if you like the idea of investing with just $1, then make sure you like this video and make sure you subscribe for more future updates on stocks and IPOs. And just as a quick disclaimer, this is not legal, tax, financial, or investment advice. Make sure you do your own research before you do any sort of investment. I am not a financial advisor. And with that, let's get right into real estate and how you can invest. And so now you're probably asking, how can I invest in real estate for just $1? This sounds too good to be true. This sounds like a clickbait title. I promise you, this is not a clickbait title. So there's two ways you can actually invest in real estate with just $1. So the first way you can actually buy a whole house, a legit house for just $1 is if you go to Italy, you can actually buy houses for just €1. And I know that's a little bit more than $1, but it's basically the same thing. So this is actually real. You can actually go to Italy and buy a house for just €1. And there's news articles and there's YouTube videos and there's a bunch of people who have actually done this. So it is real. You can actually do this. So there's actually two big catches to this. The first catch is a lot of these houses aren't very nice and aren't very livable right now. So you actually have to spend a lot of money to renovate these houses. So you're gonna have to put in money and you're gonna have to put in effort to actually make these houses nice and livable. The second big reason is a lot of these places are not in the big Italian cities like Rome or Milan or Naples. They're actually in small, quiet villages out in the middle of nowhere in Italy. This means that not only will you need to renovate and spend the time and energy to build out your home, but you're also betting that these villages won't completely go bust, that these people aren't completely moving out. A big reason why these towns and villages are only selling their houses for $1 is because they want people to come in. They want new residents. They want people to spend money on renovations, on living expenses. So you can see these cities are definitely not the top tier cities. So my recommendation for buying a house in Italy for only $1, I think it's a great deal if you actually want to spend time in Italy, if you actually want to renovate a house, if you want to put the time and energy and money. Otherwise, I think it's a lot more effort than it's actually worth. And now for the second way to invest in real estate for just $1, and this is my favorite way of doing it. The second way is to invest in something called an REIT, which is a real estate investment trust. A TLDR of what an REIT is essentially a fund that invests in real estate for you, and it basically trades like a stock. So you can think of it as like an ETF or a mutual fund. These funds were literally made for investors who want to invest in real estate, but don't necessarily want to hold houses or buy real estate themselves. And there's a few nice things about REITs that make it very ideal for real estate investors. Number one, they must invest at least 75% of their assets into real estate or potentially cash. And we all know they're probably gonna put into real estate because cash is trash. And the second big thing, which is actually very important if you care about real estate and cash flow, they are legally required to withdraw 90% of their income and actually pay that out as dividends to all shareholders. And this is a big draw if you care about cash flow. And the third big thing, they must receive at least 75% of their gross income from real estate sources. So that means they have to be making money off of real estate. Again, this is a clear play made for real estate investors. And the best part of all, REITs trade like regular stocks, meaning I don't need to go find a real estate agent to invest in real estate. I can just buy through my Robinhood app or through my Schwab app. And that's how you buy it for just $1. So if your trading app or broker like Robinhood, for example, that I use, if they offer fractional shares, you can actually put in an order for just $1 for some of these REITs, and you can own a piece of them for just $1. And that is how you invest in real estate with just $1. And now I'll give you some of my favorite picks for REITs. The first category is residential homes. As you probably know, everybody's got to live somewhere. Everybody's got to pay rent. This is nice because everyone needs a place to live, so the demand is high and demand will always be there. The first company I'd recommend is Avalon Bay Communities. They're one of the largest residential REITs, and they own a lot of properties in New England and Washington, D.C., and Seattle and California. So they're in some of the major cities. And the second residential REIT I'd recommend is IRT, Independence Realty Trust. IRT owns multifamily holdings mainly in what they would call still growing cities, such as Atlanta, or cities in Tennessee, or cities in North Carolina. So the strategy here is to invest in up and coming markets and not necessarily the top tier cities. which have the largest growth potential. Their strategy here is focused on what they call Class B properties, so not top of the line properties, buying them up, renovating them, and renting them out for a premium versus some other companies that focus on new constructions. And the third residential REIT I'd recommend is ACC, American Campus Communities. And this is the largest owner and provider and manager of student housing in the US. They have approximately 200 properties with over 140,000 beds in about 60 US college markets. And obviously, college students always need a place to live, and this is one of the top REITs that will actually allow you to invest in that type of housing. The next category is commercial. You can imagine this is a type of real estate like offices or warehouses, or any type of real estate that is needed for business or commercial purposes. My favorite REIT here is DLR, which is digital reality. And they basically provide the real estate for data centers and data warehouses, serving customers across the IT space, the communications, and even the financial services and manufacturing space, all related to data management, data warehousing, and IT support. And in my opinion, this sector is only going to grow. Businesses are going to invest more in data warehouses and into the cloud and data centers. And obviously you need real estate for that. So with that being said, for digital reality, the overall commercial space, I would say, is kind of in limbo now due to the pandemic. A lot of people are unclear whether workers are going to be going back to the office. So for those reasons, I don't really have any more recommendations here besides digital reality. And in a previous video, I've recommended Prologis, which does a lot of warehousing and storage for supply chain. That one's also worth a look. And last but not least, we have diversified funds. And this is actually a type of REIT fund I recommend for a newbie or anybody taking their first step into real estate. And the top two I'd recommend are VNQ and XLRE. And just as a quick disclaimer, I do own VNQ, so for what it's worth, it does have my stamp of approval. But you can imagine these are diverse funds that actually pick and choose and buy a bunch of different REITs across many different sectors, from residential to commercial to healthcare. From healthcare to IT to industrial to commercial to residential, they have a little bit of everything. And I think that's what you really need in a diversified investment portfolio for real estate. Because before the pandemic, commercial was actually a very big moneymaker for real estate. Now, actually, it doesn't make as much money because people are still questioning, should I go back into the office? And companies are asking, should I still invest and buy office space for my workers? But however, residential is still doing very well. And so for those reasons, I do recommend a diversified REIT such as VNQ or XLER. Those are my top two favorites. And again, you can buy those with just $1 in Robinhood or into your other broker if they do fractional shares. And with that, we wrap up how you can invest in real estate with just one pretty dollar. Comment down below. Has this video inspired you to go invest in real estate because now you've realized it's a lot more accessible? And make sure you like and subscribe to my channel for more future updates on stocks and IPOs. And most importantly, make sure you understand a product or company strategy before you do any sort of investment. And more importantly, make sure you make money. Peace.